Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balabha Giri Vardhari Gopijana Balabha Giri Vardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranyana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Nachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Giri Vardhari Gopijana Vallabha Giri Vardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Radha Madhava ki jai, Sri Radha Giridhari ki jai, Karantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jai Jashodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Sabhai Charanad Avinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jai Jashodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Antagoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samveda Bhakti ki jai, Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Vishnupadaya Krishna Mastaya Buddhalesh Madhi Bhakti Vedanta Gauravani Vachari It's the sound of all the impurities coming out of our hearts. Okay. A lot of impurities. So Devotee Prabhu asked me to read a little bit this morning. It was the day before yesterday. No, yesterday. Yesterday. Yeah. It was also the disappearance day. Purushottam Das Thakur. So there's a little reference here. I will read it. Okay, good. Then we'll begin. This way we'll get the mercy of Purushottam Das Thakur. Okay, so the 23rd and 24th prominent devotees of Nityananda were Sadashiva Kaviraj and his son Purushottam Das, who was the 10th Gopal. That means he was a cowherd boy in Krishna Lila, or is a cowherd boy in Krishna Lila. Since birth, Purushottam Das was merged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and he was always engaged in childish play with Lord Krishna. Sri Sadashiva Kaviraj was extremely fortunate. His son's name was Sri Purushottam Das. He was never externally conscious of his material body. Nityananda Chandra enacted many pastimes from within his heart. Anjalila. Purushottam Thakur had three main disciples, Sri Madhavacharya, Sri Yadavacharya, and Devakinandana Das, who were born in Kolina Brahmana families. Madhavacharya married Nityananda Prabhu's daughter, Ganga Devi. Devakinandan was the author of the book Vaishnava Vandane. Purushottam Thakur's Shripat was previously at Sukhasagar. Now his deities are at Chandriya Gram. This temple is called Vasujanava Pat. Perhaps it is due to the fact that Kanai Thakur, what happened to Kanai? He disappeared. Okay, the son of Purushottam was the adopted son of Sri Janava. Sri Purushottam Thakur was the cowherd boy Stoka Krishna in Krishna Lila. Sri Purushottam Das Thakur ki jai. Okay, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Namas Te Akila Karanaya Nishkaranaya Bhuta Karanaya Sarvagamanaya Maharnavaya Namo Pavargaya Parayanaya Namo Namaste Kilakaranaya Nishkaranaya Bhutakaranaya Sarvagamanaya Maharnavaya Namo Pavargaya Parayanaya Namo Namaste Kilakaranaya Nishkaranaya Bhutakaranaya Sarvagamanaya Maharnavaya Namo Bhavargaya Parananaya Namo Namaste Kilakaranaya Nishkaranaya Bhutakaranaya Sarvagamanaya Maharnavaya Namo Bhavargaya Paranayanaya. Anyone like to chant?
Namo Namaste Kilakaranaya. Namo Namaste Kilakaranaya. Nishkaranaya Bhutakaranaya. Nishkaranaya Bhutakaranaya. Sarvagamanaya Maharnavaya. Sarvagamanaya Maharnavaya. Namo Pavargaya Parayanaya. Namo Pavargaya Parayanaya. Namo Namaste Kilakaranaya. Nishkaranaya Bhutakaranaya.
Ladies?
Namo namaste
Kilakaranaya.
Nishkaranaya Bhutakaranaya
Nishkaranaya Bhutakaranaya.
Sarvagamamnaya Mahanavaya
Sarvargamaya Maharnavaya. Namo Bhavargaya Parayanaya. Anyone else? Online? Offline? Synonyms. Namaha.
Namo namaste kilakaranaya
Namo Namaste Kilakaranaya.
nishkaranaya uttakaranaya
Nishkaranaya Buddhakaranaya.
sarvagamamnaya maharnavaya
Sarvagamanaya Marnavaya.
namo pavargaya parayanaya
Namo Bhavargaya Parayanaya.
Namo Namaste Akhila Karunaya
Namo Namaste Kilakaranaya.
Nishkaranaya Bhuta Karunaya
Nishkaranaya Buddhakaranaya.
Sarvaga Mamnaya Maharnavaya
Sarvagamanaya Marnavaya.
Namo Pavargaya Parayanaya.
Namo Bhavargaya Parayanaya. Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. Namah. Again, I offer my respectful obeisances. Te, unto you. Akila, Karanaya, unto the supreme cause of everything. Nishkaranaya, unto you who are causeless. Adbhuta, Karanaya, the wonderful cause of everything. Sarva, all. Agama Amnaya, unto the source of the parampara system of all Vedic knowledge. Maha Arnavaya, the great ocean of knowledge, or the great ocean wherein all the rivers of knowledge merge. Namaha, I offer my obeisances. Apavargaya, unto you who can give deliverance or liberation. Parayanaya, the shelter of all transcendentalists. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. My Lord, you are the cause of all causes, but you yourself have no cause. Therefore you are the wonderful cause of everything. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you who are the shelter of the Vedic knowledge contained in the Shastras like the Pancharatras and Vedanta Sutra, which are your representations, and who are the source of the parampara system. Because it is you who can give liberation, you are the only shelter for all transcendentalists. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described herein as the wonderful cause. He is wonderful in the sense that although there may be unlimited emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janmadhyashataha, he always remains complete. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Bhavasishyate. In our experience in the material world, if we have a bank balance of $1 million, as we withdraw money from the bank, the balance gradually diminishes until it becomes nil. However, the Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, is so complete that although innumerable personalities of Godhead emanate from him, he remains the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Therefore, he is the wonderful cause. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigrahanadir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. This is Brahma Samhita. Even in this material world, we can understand that the sun has existed for millions of years and has given off heat and light since its creation, yet the sun still retains its power and never changes. What then is to be said of the Supreme Cause, Param Brahma Krishna? Everything emanates from him perpetually, yet he maintains his original form, Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna personally says in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, 8th verse, Matta sarvam pavartate. Everything emanates from me. Everything emanates from Krishna eternally, yet he is the same Krishna and does not change. Therefore, he is the shelter of all transcendentalists who are eager to get free from material bondage. Everyone must take shelter of Krishna. It is therefore advised, akama sarvakamo va, moksha kama udaradi, tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. 2nd Canto, 3rd chapter, 10th verse. Param Brahma, the Supreme Lord, and Param Dhamma, the Supreme Repose, is Krishna. Therefore, anyone who desires anything, whether he be a karmi, a jnani, or a yogi, should try to perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead very seriously, and all his desires will be fulfilled. The Lord says, Yeyatam mam babajante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. As the living entities surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Even the karmi who wants everything for his enjoyment can get it from Krishna. For Krishna supplying what he wants is not at all difficult. Actually, however, one should worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the sake of getting liberation. Vedescha savar aham eva veja. By studying the Vedic literature, one can understand Krishna. As confirmed here, sarva gamanaya maharnavaya. He is the ocean, and all Vedic knowledge flows towards him. Therefore, intelligent transcendentalists take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarvam dharmam parijaja mamekam sharam bhaja. This is the ultimate goal. That's a classic purport. Does everyone feel like surrendering after hearing that? Amazing. Now, I'm going to read 16, and then we'll go back. We'll do 2 verses a day, and this way catch up for the morning schedule. I'll read the translation. My Lord, as the fire in araṇi wood is covered, you and your unlimited knowledge are covered by the material modes of nature. Your mind, however, is not attentive to activities of the modes of nature. Those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge are not subject to the regulative principles directed in Vedic literatures. Because such advanced souls are transcendental, you personally appear in their pure minds. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Tesham evanukam partam hama jnana jam tamaha nasayama atmabhavasto jnana dipena bhasvata. For a devotee who has taken the lotus feet of Krishna within his heart, the Lord gives spiritual enlightenment known as Jnana Dipa by special mercy from within. This Jnana Dipa is compared to the fire hidden within araṇi wood. To perform fire sacrifices, great sages previously did not ignite a fire directly. The fire would be invoked from araṇi wood. Similarly, all living entities are covered by the modes of material nature, and the fire of knowledge can be ignited only by the Supreme Personality of Godhead when one takes him within one's heart. Savai Krishna Padara Vindayo. If one takes seriously the lotus feet of Krishna, who is seated within one's heart, the Lord eradicates all ignorance. By the torch of knowledge, one immediately understands everything properly by the special mercy of the Supreme Lord and becomes self-realized. In other words, although a devotee may externally not be very well educated, because of his devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives him enlightenment from within. If the Lord gives enlightenment from within, how can one be in ignorance? Therefore, the allegation of the Mayavadis that the devotional path is for the unintelligent or uneducated is untrue. Yasasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinchana sarver gunas tatra samasate suraha. If one becomes an unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Lord, he automatically manifests all good qualities. Such a devotee is above the instructions of the Vedas. He is a Paramahamsa. Even without going through the Vedic literature, a devotee becomes pure and enlightened by the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, my Lord, the devotee says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Om Gyandimarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshuranminitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu bhavacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So by your good wishes, ardent prayers, I'll try to say a few things. Those two long purports. Is everyone still with us? Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. So text 15. Prabhupada begins the purport by saying Krishna is the wonderful cause. Adbhuta means wonderful. Wonderful cause. And he says he's described as a wonderful cause because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and though unlimited emanations come from him eternally, he's never depleted. He always remains the complete balance, the complete whole, Purnam. There's nothing like that in the material world. Of course, one example Prabhupada gives in the purport. The sun. We can observe the sun, and we don't know how long that sun's been there. Of course, there are speculations, but that changes. And modern science really doesn't know what's going on up there. What's that? In 1 second, it emanates more energy than all of recorded history for mankind. That's one calculation they give. It's actually more. They don't even know how much more. But of all the energy that's been expended by humanity since recorded history, in 1 second the sun actually emanates more energy. So all that heat and light and energy coming from the sun, it just keeps coming and coming and coming. Just like we offer a ghee lamp. You light the ghee lamp. At a certain point, it goes out. There's only so much ghee and cotton there, right? It just goes out. Okay, but could you imagine having a ghee lamp that never went out? And not that you have to keep adding ghee, because you do that in temples, like South India especially, have those lamps, and you just keep adding ghee, and it just keeps burning. They have lamps that have just been going on for a long, long, long time. As long as you keep adding, it just never seems to go out. Yes, in the kitchen. Over 400 years. They have the same fire burning in the kitchen in the Radhaman temple, and that's what they light from for the puja and so on. They keep it going like that. So, but the sun, asesha teja, unlimited potency. There's no measuring it, and then it's going on. So, and so much is coming, but it's still the sun. It's not like, hey, that sun's a little bit less sunny than it was yesterday. Like it's starting to go out. Of course, they do go out. At least modern astronomy, right? Suns do die. They say that's what's out. There are dying suns, right? They just eventually go out. At least that's what they're saying. But the sun we have here, nothing anytime soon, right? Hopefully. So this is what's wonderful, because there are the understanding of the absolute truth, or God, from the Vedic literatures, is so far beyond what you find in other scriptures. It's amazing. Just like most people, they think their idea of God is he's the creator. And there's so many limitations. Just like there's one pope, he had an idea of what God looked like. And he paid Michelangelo to paint that on the roof of on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. It's actually a pope who had that design, and they worked together on it. And there's nowhere in the Bible it says God's an old man, and he's kind of muscular, look kind of like he works out, but he's still kind of old. Like he's pretty muscular, isn't he? That Sistine Chapel God, he's not like shriveled up or something like that, like an old Brahmin or something. Because he's all powerful, so he's got to have some kind of right? He's got to have a good build, because he's all powerful. And he's reaching over and he's touching Adam, and Adam's appreciating that, bringing him to life. But, he's old. He's got white hair. Very few men appreciate their hair getting white like that. No one does, ladies especially. But men sometimes say men get away with it. When a man gets white and gray hair, they go, "You look distinguished. You look distinguished." Ladies, it's not that. Like that. So, but old, your hair, maybe they would, and he has a nice head of hair. I guess if they want to make him look old, they'd have some bald spots. But they didn't want to do that, But the God is a creator. Now, if you think about it, if God is just a creator, it's Buri John was just explaining this in one lecture I was listening to. It's such a limited idea of God, because we understand the creation comes and goes. So, when it's time for creation, it's like a countdown. God's like 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, creation, boom, it creates, okay? And everything's created. But as soon as everything's created, he goes, "I created everything, now everyone's complaining." All they do is get all these prayers, everyone's complaining, and then all of a sudden there's a time of annihilation. Boom, it's gone. And then God's going to wait around for millions and millions of years until it's time for creation again. It's got nothing to do. It's like remember the old days, the Maytag repairman? They used to have these commercials because Maytag washing machines never needed to be repaired. So they always had this bored guy. That was the commercial. No one ever calls him because the Maytag washing machine never breaks. So you got nothing to do. The Maytag repairman just sitting there bored. So God is just waiting and waiting, because all he's required to do is create and annihilate. That's it. And then in between, he's got to answer everyone's complaints about he made a creation and it's not good enough. So what kind of job is that? So thankless. So the idea that that's it, that's the best conception of God, it's like the Maytag repairman or something? No, it's described here. Is the absolute truth. And Prabhupada drops down to this, Ishvara Paramakrishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Savakarana Karanam. He's the cause of all causes. And sometimes people go, well, God, we all came from God, but where did God come from? But the point is, it stops there. He is the source. There is no cause. That's where it starts. They talk about no beginning. That's the absolute truth, the beginning of everything. And he's eternally existing. He never began at a particular point. And actually the soul also. Never was there a time we came into being, will come into being, or cease to exist. The soul is eternal also. These are eternal truths. But Satchidananda Vigraha, God has a form, it's eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Krishna, all attractive. So this is what it means, wonderful cause. An amazing, wonderful cause. Keeping on the time here. And let's see, rolling down here. And therefore, he's saying here, therefore we should all take shelter of him. And there's that verse, akama, sarvakamova, whether one has no desires or is full of desires or just wants liberation. If one's intelligent, he'll engage in devotional service, because Krishna is the one who fulfills all desires. So whatever it is, approach Krishna and gradually become purified. So, and then in the verse here, it's talking how Krishna is like the ocean of knowledge, or like all the rivers that empty into the ocean of knowledge. All knowledge is coming from Krishna, and all the Vedas are emanating from him. And by all the Vedas, he's to be known. And therefore, sarvam dharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. The conclusion is, one should take shelter of Krishna. And then we jump into 16, text 16. And that's, again, a wonderful verse and purport about Krishna's mercy, how kind he is. The Tesam evanukam partam hamagyana jamtama nashame atma babasto gyana dipena basvata. This gyana dipena, it says it's like the torch of knowledge. Prabhupada is also referring to it as mercy and kindness, that Krishna will illuminate our hearts. Krishna is in the heart of every single living entity. Shmitir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. What does that mean? Sorry. Sankarshan. Shmitir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. These are three things that the Super Soul awards the Jiva. Shmitir, Memory. Shmitirgyanam. Apohanam. Forgetfulness. Okay. He forgot. He was giving a demonstration. He was demonstrating the third one. Forgetfulness. Okay, thank you for that demonstration and for class. It's coming from Krishna. And why is it? What determines Shmitirgyanam Apohanam Cha? It's the desires of the living entity. He's in there. If that's what you want. Prabhupada said, if you want to forget Krishna, Krishna will help you forget him forever. If that's what you want. So, but Krishna's so kind that he's created the material world in such a way that even the most stubborn jiva, sooner or later, will turn around and want to go back home, back to Godhead. So you don't have to worry about that. But Krishna's in the heart, and a few times, and this araṇi wood is just by mantra, right? It's a special kind of wood. By mantra, the fire comes out. So they rub it? Well, you can do that with all kinds of wood too, but it must be a very special type of wood. Okay. There was still that story, Bhadrinath Maharaj that story about Gaura-Keshava. He had some kind of, two kinds of powder, and if you put them together, it starts a flame. So he was doing that when he started his yajna thing, you know, like that, just for a show. Oh, chant a mantra, and poof, like that. And Maharaj tells a story that he accidentally, they mixed under his seat, and his asan caught on fire. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but it's a good story. It's a good story. It's a story. It's Gaura-Keshava Prabhu. He was Australian. He was the first one. He studied in South India, and he started teaching the devotees, you know, all the yajnas and samskaras and so on. So, but this, the Krishna consciousness is already in our heart, but it has to be brought out. And that's by Krishna's kindness and mercy. But Prabhupada says in a few places in the purport, it all depends upon us actually, let me see here how he says that, taking the lotus feet of Krishna into our hearts. Like that. If one takes seriously the lotus feet of Krishna, who is seated within one's heart, the Lord eradicates all ignorance. Taking seriously the lotus feet of Krishna. Because we always have, at every moment, we have the choice to take shelter of Krishna or something else. At every moment, the living entity has, we have freedom. We have so much freedom. That choice is always there. So one who always chooses Krishna's lotus feet and takes them within the heart, then Krishna reciprocates. Krishna reciprocates. That's his kindness. And the problem, sometimes you say, you may not be very well educated. But if one takes shelter of Krishna, he's the most educated. And Krishna in the heart will give one transcendental knowledge. Scholarship, even Vedic scholarship, what is that? Vedeshadula mamadula mam atma bhakto. One, you know, some people, today we meet them, they're just like I was doing a puja last Thursday night, this home. Their last name is Prabhu. I'd like to have a name like that, Prabhu. That's their last name, Prabhu. Yeah. Prabhu. I'm going to the Prabhu's house for a puja. Very well educated. He was one of the most prominent cardiologists here in San Diego for many, many years. Long time. And he invited one of his the gentleman said he's Ravi's best friend. They're from Mexico. He's a prominent ophthalmologist. He operates on the eyes. He has a practice, and he also teaches, I think, at UCSD, ophthalmology. So well-spoken, well-educated, and his wife also very, very educated and so on. And she's an advocate for vegetarianism and so on, except for eggs. But, she's quite well-spoken, very well-educated, devout Catholics. In fact, Ravi had said he didn't think he would come. The man would come because he's a devout Catholic, but they enjoyed the puja and so on, and we talked for quite some time. But so many different ideas about God and this and that and so on. And one of them was telling me they were very, very impressed by this. It was back in the 90s or 2000s. One very forward thinker, scientist, was saying that the day will come when we can download a person, their brain, onto a disk, store it, and then upload it into a robot, and that way you'll keep living. As if that's who we are, some downloadable frequency in our brain. I said, come on, where's the soul in that? I said, they can never do that. They'll never have the technology to do something like that. They don't even know how the brain works. And is that all we are? Is a bunch of synapses of the brain? Where's the soul in that? There's no soul in that equation. I said, I don't think he's very forward thinking. I think he's a shyster. I think he's, but very well educated. He was very, very serious about this. Is like cutting edge. So the point is that one surrenders to Krishna, and then one gets real knowledge. What is what and who is who? Prabhupada say that? Matter is spirit and the controller of both. That information becomes available, and one becomes actually knowledgeable as far as life. So, and there are many different departments of knowledge, and they have their application, but the goal of life is the most important knowledge. Confirming it. He's trying to beat that into us. The goal of life is going back home, back to Godhead. You got that proposed? So, okay. Hare Krishna. So it's on the half hour. There's much more that could be said, because we had 2 verses today. Do you want to open up for any points in either of the 2 purports that were brought up? Any more conversation? Because there's a lot, probably.
I have a question.
On Prabhu. So, Prabhupada quoted the Kama, Sarvakama verse. And if you will allow me, I want to share some very critical revision that is taking place, will take place, in the purport to that verse in the Bhagavatam 2.3.10, I think it is.
Okay.
So Prabhupada is describing what someone who is really desireless, because it begins with akama.
Yes.
So he says, an akama. Akama is a noun. An akama is one who has no material desire. A living being, naturally being the part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, Purusham Purnam, has as his natural function to serve the Supreme Being, just as the parts and parcels of the body, the limbs of the body, are naturally meant to serve the complete whole body. So now Prabhupada defines what desireless really means. Desireless means, therefore, not to be inert like the stone, but to be conscious of one's actual position, and thus desire satisfaction only from the Supreme Lord. Now, that kind of made sense, and so no one has really thought of it, Is that really what we're looking for, to desire satisfaction only from the Supreme Lord? That's what it says here. So I checked the original that Prabhupada typed, not the retyped version by Harigrava, but the type. And what Prabhupada actually said is, desireless means, therefore, not to be inert like the stone, but to be conscious of one's actual position, and thus desire only the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, it's not from, but of.
So I think that's an important revision.
Yes.
Trying to get that. So I'd share that with you.
Any other questions or comments? Prabhu? I always look at the speaker, but he's right there. Vijay Krishna?
Yes, Dharmasetu Prabhu, I have a question.
Go ahead.
May I?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, thank you very much. You're most kind. Dandavat Pranams. Prabhu, do you mind reading again the second to the end sentence of the translation of text 15?
Okay. Do you want me to just read the whole verse, or are you saying the second half of the verse, or?
No, the second to the end sentence of the translation.
Well, the last line is, because it is you who can give liberation, you are the only shelter for all transcendentalists. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
That is the sentence.
Okay.
So based on this sentence, my question is, why would a transcendentalist want to take shelter of Krishna or of anyone else or of anything? Isn't that the concept, what is to be expected from a transcendentalist is that he is free from all types of shelter because he is already full in himself and fully independent? Why would he want to take shelter of Krishna or of anyone else or of anything? That is my question.
Very good question. Thank you. What is that? Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavanita Shabdate. That was interesting. Burijan in his Bhakti Vaibhava classes, he said that actually is one of the Mahavakyas of the Bhagavatam. Just as the, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, but he said actually the Bhagavatam expands from this verse also. In other words, the Absolute Truth is realized in three different phases, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So there are transcendentalists on different, searching for different aspects of the Absolute Truth, and not all of them are taking shelter of Bhagavan, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they're still considered transcendentalists. There's higher and lower, even in the realm of transcendence. There's variety there. But what's being pointed out here, these are all aspects of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahman, Brahmano hi patishtaham, that's Krishna's effulgence, and the Paramatma is his expansion within the heart, but ultimately it's all coming from Krishna. So most intelligent is one who understands that all of these are aspects of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original form, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, and therefore take shelter of Krishna. The yogi who's trying to understand the Supersoul, the impersonalist who's trying to understand Brahman, their ability to achieve their own perfection is based on Krishna in the heart. He's got to say, okay, you're Brahman realized. Okay, you can see me in the heart as Paramatma. Krishna has to give his consent ultimately. So what's being said here is really Krishna is the ultimate shelter for all transcendentalists and actually all living entities. So an intelligent person will take shelter of Krishna. I hope that answers your question.
So in accordance with your answer, to be a transcendentalist has nothing to do with being free from being dependent on Krishna or on anyone else. Like full in himself, completely independent. That is not what a transcendentalist is.
Absolutely. One transcendentalist means to become free from the modes of material nature, to transcend this world, but one doesn't become free from Krishna or control of Krishna. One actually is taking shelter of Krishna. That's the sign of a real transcendentalist. What is that verse in the Bhagavad? No. What's the one about Daivim Prakritim Asritaha? One is actually taking shelter of the Daivi Prakriti.
Of course, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your most clarifying answer. Hare Krishna.
Well, if you thought that was clarifying, now Dravid is going to clarify it even more. Super clarification here.
Well, the idea here is that I think what's reminded of that verse Prabhupada would quote practically every other class. Yen yen vindaksha vimuktamaninas tvayasta bhava ravishuddha buddhaya. That those who are not your devotees, anya means others besides your devotees, the vindaksha, lotus-eyed Lord, they just want to go to Brahman. You know, they don't focus on the Lord or anything else. They just try to, through quick train it, through very austere practices, to try to get free from attachment to this world without Krishna. So a very few can rise up to Parampadam, and they think they're liberated. Oh, I made it. I am in Brahman. But it's boring because we're living beings. There's no bhakti there, and so they eventually fall down. And so, therefore, he's concluding this to the present verse, because you alone can give liberation. You are the only shelter for all transcendentalists. In other words, if you really want to be transcendental, liberated, you have to worship Krishna. Otherwise, you may think you're liberated, but you're going to fall down again. So that's, I think, the implication of this verse. You're the only shelter. If you really want to be liberated, then you serve Krishna. Of course, then you'll give up the desire for liberation. You just want to serve Krishna. But anyway, that's the way I understand it.
Balaram Das Prabhu.
Yeah, I just have 2 questions. One question is, why is there 5 pairs of kitchen shoes outside of the temple room here?
Okay. Do you want me to answer that?
I don't know.
Because I have not taken them yet, as I explained this morning. I'm going to be taking the kitchen shoes when I see that, and I'll return them to the temple when I get $5 per pair.
Okay.
Okay, so next question? Pair.
So,
Why? Because you're guilty and you want to know if you have to pay $5 or $10? Okay, go ahead.
second question is, in relation to the class, but when we talk about kindness, I mean, some people, they say that, well, there's certain people who are just by nature kind. And it just seems like that. You know, they have a certain nature. They're kind by nature. So how would we respond to that? Because devotees may think that about themselves or about others, or let's say about themselves. It's just, I'm not really kind by nature. You know, it's just not in my nature to be kind. I'm not a really kind, loving, caring person. So you just have to kind of tolerate me, in other words. So that's one thing. And in relation to that, it says that in personalists, they by practicing austerities, their heart becomes very hard. So can a devotee's heart become hard by practicing the austerities of Krishna consciousness?
There seems to be a few different things in that.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not
okay,
exactly
okay,
connected.
okay.
They're actually.
Well, let's answer the second part, which was quite clear about can one's heart become hardened by performing austerities in Krishna consciousness. I would say by performing the austerities and not being very Krishna conscious when we do them. You know, because if someone is Krishna conscious, their heart won't become hardened. But it's true, by austerity, by just denial of the senses and so on, one's heart can become hardened. Yes. So in Krishna consciousness, we have to be very careful. We have to be balanced and make sure we don't go too far in that direction. In other words, that's performing austerities for the sake of austerity. It may or may not be pleasing to Krishna at all. You know. So Hirananda Maharaj tells a story about he was in Los Angeles with Srila Prabhupada, and he was like really, really austere about his sannyasi, a new sannyasi, about not eating, very, very, don't eat very much, and very, very austere, and just this, that. And he thought that really pleased Prabhupada and so on. So they come down the stairs and Monday morning or something, and they see this plate of prasadam sitting on like a shelf or a radiator that someone had left. Prabhupada turned to him and said, "You eat that." You eat that plate. It was like, I was trying to be austere and everything. Prabhupada told me to eat the whole big Sunday feast plate. So, yes, one has to be very careful. One's heart can also be hardened by sense gratification. The other way. One becomes a debauchee and a sense enjoyer. One's heart becomes very, very hard. One becomes selfish and so on. So when Krishna is, more or less, when Krishna is taken out of the center of every equation, there's problems. And you can call it hard-heartedness and forgetfulness if you like. And as far as it's not my nature to be kind, well, work on it. Because the nature of the soul, is it mridu? Is one of the 26 qualities of a devotee. Is soft-hearted, is very, very kind. That's just the nature, that's actually the nature of the pure soul, as part and parcel of Krishna. And we should be very careful about saying, well, Prabhu, that's not my nature. I'm just going to be the way I'm. Take it or leave it. This is who I am. Go wash those pots, like that, or something like that. So one has to be very careful. There's Vaishnava etiquette. There's culture. So one has to be very, very, very kind, like that. I can give an example from James Stewart, if you like. Jimmy Stewart. You know the actor? Yeah, James Stewart. And the movie about the polka. Anyways, there's a scene in the story. He was a kind of eccentric kind of person, little, very simple, and he was seeing a puka, which is a rabbit, a big rabbit. It wasn't really, it was there for him. Anyway, the point is, very interesting story. Simple person, but quite sharp. Anyways, when he was growing up, his mother told him you have two choices to get ahead in life. You got two choices. You can be very, very intelligent, or you can be very, very nice to people. Pick the second one. And he was a very, very sweet person and all that. So the point being, you got a choice. But being very, very nice to people is an essential quality in life. Now, nice doesn't mean you let them do whatever they want to do and walk all over you and this and that. We have our idea. Krishna conscious means sometimes a little bit of tough love, and it's reality, but that's being, to give the doctor giving the medicine or giving the injection, that's nice because he's saving our life. So in that sense. But in our ordinary dealings with persons, we should always be friendly, a friend. Suhridam sarvabhutanam, like Krishna's friend, like that. And don't make an excuse for being nasty, like that.
I want to amend the story.
Of who?
You just told about Jimmy Stewart.
Okay.
So that's in the movie? His mother's telling him that?
He's saying his mother told him that when he was growing up. He had a choice.
Okay.
She's saying, giving me advice as a child that when you grow up, you can, as far as getting ahead in life, you can be very, very intelligent or be very, very friendly with everyone.
And I would say that the punchline is, if you're intelligent, you'll be very nice.
Okay. Like that. So we probably should end here. I hope that's okay. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.